Hey there, folks. So here's another interesting little factoring situation. So what we have here is a fourth degree, but it's a trinomial. Notice we got an x to the fourth, and x squared, and a constant term. So what we're going to do, when we do that little multiply add thing, you're really multiplying the entire first term, because usually it's just an x squared and an x in a number. We never write these here. We never write the actual variables with exponents or whatever, but it does work. In fact, that's the true way of determining how to split the middle term to factor by grouping. So if I include those, I can see what multiplies to 8x to the fourth and adds to negative 2x squared would have to be a negative 4x squared and a 2x squared, right? If they multiply to give me that and they add to give me that. So I'm going to split this into those two terms, because negative 4x squared plus 2x squared will give me a negative 2x squared. So basically what I'm going to do is factor this as I normally would, but all the exponents are going to be doubled. So doing that, I split up that middle term, keep that equal to 0. I factor by grouping, so the first group has an x squared I can factor out, and the next group I look at has a 2 I can factor out. Since I got that x squared minus 4 in both spots, factor that little guy out, leaving me with an x squared plus 2. Now, every time I do this and I get product of factors, I want to see, can I factor anything further? And right here, I can factor the x squared minus 4. That's a difference of squares, so I can factor that even further. So I'm going to do so. That gives me this. An x squared plus 2 I cannot factor. You can't factor sum of squares. Difference of squares or sum or difference of cubes are the only things that have special factoring shortcuts. So now I'm going to set each factor equal to 0. So x plus 2 equals 0 gives me x equals negative 2. And this one gives me x equals 2 as a solution. And now I'm going to take that third one and I'm going to set that equal to 0, which requires me to solve a quadratic type equation. So I move the 2 over. I take the square root of both sides. Because I took the square root of a negative, it's actually plus or minus 2i. Oh, shoot, that's not right. That's should be plus or minus I root 2. So it's plus or minus I root 2, because I'm taking the square root of 2, and I pulled my I out. So this should be plus root 2i. Well, we don't write it like that because then it looks like the I is under the thing, which is not correct. So I root 2 and negative I root 2. All right, and then that's probably in the way of the U try I wrote you. Yep, all right, that looks gross, so hold on one second. Sorry about this. I don't have time to go back and re-record, so you got a deal for a second here. And that's going to give us that. Here's the U try. I want you to try and solve that. So you're going to factor per normal. You might just end up with one of these guys that factors to one of these guys too. Good luck. I'll see you tomorrow.